Mic. Camera. Action.
Oh my God.
What? What is it? What's going on?
What? 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 What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, God.
Where did he put it?
I don't know.
Holy shit.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Where's your husband?
Where is he?
Oh, my God. Yes.
Tell me what I need to know.
Don't, please. Don't.
You have a little boy, right? Goes to the Wyman School
No.
in Westwood.
No. No, what do you want with him? No! What do you want with him? You've got the wrong family! You've got the wrong family! Please! No!
Oh my God.
Welcome back to the Filmography, the show dedicated to watching every credited film from an actor's complete back catalogue, from past debut through to present day in chronological order. Each episode, I'm joined by an esteemed guest to watch and discuss the next entry from the focused filmography and consider how it ranks amidst their career and whether we can trace any typecasting trends or topic traits or theatrical tics. For episode 10, I'm joined by Femon film aficionado Ria Carrogan to discuss the 10th big screen appearance of the Stath in Cellular. We watch, you listen, and hopefully watch along too. So, Ria, thank you so much for agreeing to appear on the show to discuss this tight 84-minute concept-driven thriller starring the Stath in a rare villain role.
Yes, thank you. I did not mean to laugh during your intro then. I took it off mute, ready to start talking, but for some reason, when you said the film, it just happened. So I do apologise for
it. It is pretty laughable, to be fair.
It is a film that exists. It is 10 years after Speed and worse than Speed.
Well, yeah, 10 times worse than Speed, I would say. It's probably about fair.
It's like a spiritual, there's a spiritual thread there, but
it seems to be fairly well regarded, but I think that must be people, nostalgic wise, thinking about it when they were younger. It doesn't, it's not too badly rated across the world, but that I've seen. But we'll get into some of the reasons why it might not quite hold up as we go. Because I remember thinking it was all right.
I remember really enjoying it, and I don't know if that's because of Chris Evans or because I watched it because Chris Evans, or like it is just stupid, fun, switch your brain off. Considering it's not very long, it is over long. It needs to finish a lot sooner than it does. But yeah, I remember watching it and enjoying it this time. I think I've only ever seen it 3 times. So I've definitely seen it with you. We saw it together. That was the first time I saw it. And then I watched it again because Chris Evans. And then so this is a very long time ago. And this is the time I've watched it most recently and had to pay for it, which was on reflection.
I've been doing my little CEX has been my mecca through this filmography rewatch recently, because I'm just finding them all for like £1 or a couple of quid, and you don't mind paying that out. So I think Cellular was only £1, so like it's not the end of the world. Whether I'll get watched again, I'm not sure.
I love a CEX.
Although you are supposed to say sex, aren't you? But this is weird.
Yeah, I can't. And we sold some stuff there recently, Boring Life Admin, and they didn't say sex, they said CEX.
So it's just in the adverts.
Yeah.
All right.
Entice you in.
So you've seen Cellular before?
Yeah.
You.
Oh, what a
Um,
film.
What about the Stath then? Let's talk about the Stath for a little bit.
Yes.
How many Staths do you reckon you've seen?
So I did tot this up, but forgot to write it down, which isn't helpful. I did do it this morning, last thing. So I reckon I've seen a lot of his films, which I did not realise. So
We would have watched a lot together, I would have thought.
Yeah. I mean, a lot. I'm counting. This is
Sound
terrible,
of an adult counting.
I know. So I've seen all of the Transporters, all of the Cranks, most of the Expendables, Spy, which is, I mean, I cannot wait for us to start talking about Spy. Obviously, all of him and Guy Ritchie, Ghost of Mars. Ghost of Mars, I have unfortunately seen. The One, Mean Machine, all the ones you've talked about so far, I've seen. Always forget that he's in Collateral. I'll also unfortunately seen London with both Chris Evans and Jason Statham, and that is
Tony Farina, the sucker, signed up for that one.
Did he? Oh, Tony, bless you. Good luck with that. I mean, in my head, I have it that they had such a fun time together on Cellular. They went, let's do a film together. But I don't know if that's actually how it worked out. And I don't know why they both went, this will be good for our careers.
Well, it's three of them, isn't it? Because it's Beale and Evans and Statham are all in London, aren't they? So yeah, I think there must be something about the vibe on this set to the vibe on London set, but I don't imagine it was the same by the time they got there.
No, and they did seem to have a grand old time in this film, I will say.
Yeah, I imagine this was probably a hell of a lot of fun to film.
Yeah.
When you look at people behind the scenes on it, and you look at the kind of young up and coming cast and the nature of the film when they've all gone to stunt school and done all the driving and all that kind of stuff, it's probably wicked.
Yeah, and I do feel, apart from poor Kim Basinger, they all did have a grand old time hanging out at the beach. And there are a few moments when the Stath is on screen and he's doing some great sort of eye-rolly little smile things. I'm like, he is really enjoying himself. Like so I don't like him being the villain. I don't think he works as a villain. I think I know he's like this hard man type thing, but I do think there's a soft side from which we definitely start to see later in his career and come back again. Spy. I'm just influeed by Spy, which is my favorite film that he is in. I just adore him in this film. And I think in that film in Spy, and I think there's some of him coming through in Cellular, which I really like. He does like some cheeky little half smiles and things like that. And I thought, even though I don't like him as a villain, there are moments where I can see a bit of his comedy, a bit of him coming through, a bit of his charmingness, which is why I think charmingness isn't a word, is it? Which is why I don't think he works necessarily as a villain.
He's definitely found his confidence now, I think. He's past his can I be an actor stage. He's had the Transporter. That's the thing which has elevated him up. He's been in a Michael Mann film starring with Tom Cruise for a minute. But yeah, he's definitely he knows who he is now, and he's about to really kick off with Transporter 2. And
because that's just after this, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's Transporter a couple of years before this.
Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah. So Transporter 2002, Cellular 2004, and then Transporter 2 2005. So yeah, he knows he's got some stuff in the bag.
Yeah. So I think and it's interesting you don't like him as a villain. I thought he was probably other than Chris Evans, I think him and Chris Evans are probably the two best things in this.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think the Stath actually has some menace and some presence as the lead villain. It does help that everyone around him, like all his little minions, his flunkies, I couldn't tell you what any of them looked like. If any of them had a name, what they did. A couple of them, I think, maybe had white rapper gangster chains.
Yeah.
But they're so totally nondescript and a complete vacuum of charisma. I think that helps.
Yeah, I'd look charismatic compared to them. But see, should we just, do you want to start talking about the film or his performance?
Let's go where it goes. We'll explain the film as we go. It's not that hard to get.
It's not that hard to get. So I think when he's first introduced, he is quite menacing. There's a scene, so basically people break into Kim Basinger's house. She's called Jessica, kidnap her. She doesn't know why. Take her to this weird abandoned house. Why did they not check out anything about this house beforehand? Why is it only when he gets in the attic that he's like, oh, there's a phone? I mean,
I think there are some. I agree, and I think there's. I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry, I think there is like there is like plot hole stuff like that in there. But I think when the twist, what a twist, comes later, that does kind of explain because they're not experienced at what they're doing. So maybe that's why. Maybe,
yeah. I mean, and obviously the film wouldn't exist if that didn't happen. But he comes in and he does like the whole Jason Statham thing.
I'm from LA, London.
Yeah. Well, obviously we'll talk about the accent. There's a bit. He gets a belt. Is it a belt? And puts it around Kim Basinger's neck. And I was like, wow, that is actually because this film isn't like it's not a.
It's not 15 or anything.
Like a 15. 12, I don't think it is. Yeah. And I was like, that's incredibly violent and like sexual violence as well. Even though he doesn't do anything sexual, anything around the neck tends to have those sort of connotations. I was like, that's pretty violent for. What is basically a fun adventure romp because we know he's not going to smash her in with the mallet. So
we'll talk about the tone as well, I think, because the tone is all over the place. I agree. Like that's a really, and I read about it after watching that scene wasn't improvised. Obviously, they knew it was going to happen, but she asked him to surprise her with how he was going to threaten her. So she didn't know he was going to have the belt and put it around her neck and all this kind of stuff. If these rumors are to be believed, so some of the like reaction from her is quite. Like an Alien, I suppose. Like when they didn't tell the actor, they knew the actors knew what was going to happen, but not fully. So some of that surprise was real. I think that it was a similar thing here, that some of her surprise, some of her reaction was somewhat in the moment, which makes sense because it is the best bit of acting Kim Basinger does in this whole movie because she's fucking shit in this film.
She's only been hired for her voice, right? Because her voice is amazing.
Sure.
Her voice on the phone.
And she's beautiful because, let's be honest, there were no teachers that looked like that when we went to school.
I love that she's a teacher.
There's no teachers now currently working, trust me, from my normal life. There are no teachers that look like Kim Basinger. Basinger, I'm not sure. But yeah, you're right. But I find her voice really annoying in this. I'm so breathless and I'm on the phone. Oh, Chris Evans, help me, please. Can you help me? Like, why is she always out of breath? She's only sitting down. She's not.
Ryan, are you there, Ryan? Just constantly. It's like, I mean, Ryan's got more patience than I.
Yeah, right. Do. Which I know is the kind of the concept.
Is the point.
Yeah.
But I
thought she was awful. I was really surprised. And she got like nominated for an award by the Saturn Awards and stuff. No. So I don't know what film they were watching.
Wow. That is, I mean, although compared to poor Jessica Biel, who gets such a thankless role.
Yeah.
Like, why does Ryan like her?
No, exactly. Yeah. Although I guess it helps establish because his mate, Chad, I think, which is a perfectly picked name.
Classic.
Because he is a complete Chad. He's a complete douchebag, isn't he? So I think they were trying to establish at the start when they like how kind of vacuous and douchey and I can't think of the right word, like entourage boys, basically. They were at the start to show that his character growth by the end of the movie, right?
So much character growth. Because I mean, considering you say that, they try to establish he has a character at the start. I mean, they don't. They spend like two seconds, and it's his ex-girlfriend telling him he's unreliable and all of these sort of things. And like, I mean, that's it. That's all that we get. And then he's a bit of an arsehole on the phone to Kim Basinger. What's her name? Jessica when she first calls. Yeah. And that's it. And then he's a hero. Like that's his entire character development. I mean, where is some sort of backstory about why he can drive cars like that or how he knows how to use a gun and all of that sort of shit? There's like none.
No, there's none. It's a completely vacuous movie in that way. Which, as you know, that comparison to Speed's really interesting. There's another comparison I want to make later of a film that I know you used to like. But you're right, Jack Traven, Keanu Reeves in Speed, because we get that first segment where they save the people in the lift. We know everything about him. We know that he's cocky, but that he is actually really good at his job. We know that he'll put other people before himself every time. We know that he'll push what is acceptable of what a cop should do and what risks they should take. We know all of this about Jack Traven before we even get to the main mission. Here we know, Chris Evans looks really good without his top on.
Oh yeah.
He's a bit of a layabout surfer douchebag guy, and he still likes Jessica Biel, understandably so. I mean, their babies would be too good looking. There is such a thing as too good looking. Imagine Jessica Biel and Chris Evans having babies. That is ridiculous.
I mean, it could have happened, couldn't it? 'Cause they dated, so could have happened, but it didn't.
No.
Instead, she turned into an anti-vaxxer and had babies with Justin Timberlake.
I didn't know that about her. That's a shame.
Yeah, it is a real shame, isn't it? Well, that's not what we're here to talk about. Let's move on. I mean, although it's probably more interesting than this film,
yes, probably.
But speaking of chemistry, because I feel like poor Chris Evans and Jessica Biel have no time to have any chemistry on screen together. So when it comes to the end, and she's a nobody, and she looks at, I'm like, dude, don't look at it. It's clearly a whole thing going on.
Yeah, and made no sense in the moment. Like, there's no way this guy's going to believe what you just said. You just used your name.
Yeah, right.
It's stupid, isn't it? Her character
no chemistry.
No, they don't.
No, not. She's so pointless. She's just there as sort of like random female fodder as a slight motivation. But she's not even the motivation for him.
No.
The motivation is the random woman who calls him on the phone saying, "I've been kidnapped. Don't let them kidnap my son."
Let's do the right thing, isn't it? That's the motivation.
Yeah. So it's so pointless. And then there's sort of no chemistry between him and Jessica, funnily enough, because they're just on a phone. And then I do feel like there's a little bit of chemistry between him and Jason Statham. And I wish they had more time together. I wish it had been like Speed, in sort of like, the calls had been crossed or whatever a bit earlier. So they had a bit of back and forth rather than towards the end. I feel like that would have been a lot more interesting, and I'm going to use the word for this film, which I never thought I'd say, compelling, than what actually happens. But it feels like it comes so late in a short film, and then we get like the muddiness of William H. Macy being the cop and his weird thing, his like
he's day spa with his wife,
because the day spa and all of this sort of stuff, and I'm just sort of like, where is any of the chemistry? Like there is, I just need something, because they're not really rooting for anybody. No, apart from Chris Evans, because he's Chris Evans.
Yeah, this for all the faults of this film, this must be one of the ones which put him on a path to being the leading man that he is now, because the role is completely paper thin, but he brings a lot to it. Just has natural charisma, doesn't he? Just on the screen, like you can't take your eyes off him. And I do like this. I keep coming back to it with the Stath movies at the moment, that whether it's driven by the Stath in this movie or whether it's a decision was made in pre-production or what, but it's nice to see Chris Evans doing the car stunts. I know what you said. We need backstory for how he can do all this cool driving stuff, but seeing him do it is really rewarding.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think he's great in this film. I do think him and Jason Statham are the best things in this film, which is why I probably wanted to have a bit more of them together. And I totally get why this launched him more as an action person, although I think roles after this he actually sort of stepped back from them a little bit, didn't he? He did sort of Loss of a Pearl Earring or Teardrop Diamond or whatever it is, that film. I'm mixing some films up there. And try to do some sort of more independent type films. But like he's clearly an action star. When you watch this film, you get it, and he's got charisma. You can't stop watching him, and not just because of like that they constantly frame his eyes like they are the bluest eyes you've ever seen in the world. There's definitely, and you get the tone she talks about. But you do allow him. He's allowed to have a bit more humor in this, I think, that works better than, say, sort of like Fantastic Four type stuff. Like weirdly, I think actually some of the bits where he's a bit more humble, is like, "Oh, sorry, I don't mean to be stealing your car," and things like that, actually works a bit more better than when he's being his smarmy sort of
Johnny Storm. You're hot, thank you. Yeah.
Hate it. All right, so
for those that haven't seen Cellular, you did say, let's do the plot. And I was like, nah, let's
Oh, yeah,
talk about
sorry.
it. But no, you absolutely, I mean, we don't need to do much more. But I think the key thing we haven't discussed, which you have hinted at, is that fact that when she's kidnapped and put into like the loft, isn't she, of this building, there is a phone. There's a hard line. I don't know what word is nowadays. Does anyone have one of these anymore? Like a
plug-in phone.
A plug-in phone for the house, right? And Statham smashes it, doesn't he? And then what she does is connects the wires back together and then just whatever random number it calls. I'm not sure if this works technology-wise, but it doesn't really matter. And that's the whole concept, isn't it? As you said, like she's then on the phone to Chris Evans and she can only stay on the phone to him because if it cuts out, she doesn't know she can get him back again. And quite quickly, he comes to believe what's going on. And that is the scene you were talking about because he hears Statham threatening her, doesn't he, over the phone line. I did think it was a really interesting decision. Like, making her a teacher was, I don't know why. I don't know why. Well, I do know why.
Well, she's a science teacher, so she can do the phone.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, that makes no sense, does it?
Well, that's what I thought, but I think that's what they were reaching for.
Well, because she says I'm a biology teacher, right? Which makes sense for later when the thug comes to threaten her and she nicks his artery and then he bleeds out really quickly. It works for that. But I don't know why biology would know electronics.
If somebody smashed a phone, a landline phone, for you, would you be able to wire? I mean,
fucking clue what I'm doing.
I wouldn't have a clue, but I will say. I will say the wires were the same colours, so I would just put like the yellow with the yellow and the blue with the blue. But she's like tap 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 tap.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like, why does she know how to put this phone together, or is she just trying?
It doesn't make much sense. I would have preferred it probably if she was like, if she said like, I don't know, like I'm an electronics teacher, or like just work it. She could be anything. I don't know, just like.
Well, teacher's very white middle class role in America, right? It's less so here. That's also why, because I think there's some. I think I'm probably giving too much to this film. Some mystery about why she has been kidnapped, and it is she's a wealthy white woman, wealthy-ish white woman. Why has she been kidnapped? What's going on? You know, is it? Yeah,
because her husband's in real estate, isn't he? So you're meant to think it's that she's a normie. So why is this going on? Yeah, that's true.
So maybe that's why.
It did annoy me at the start because she's dropping her kid off to get the school bus. I don't know how it works in America, so that's fine. Mummy, will you be a teacher when I go to school? Okay, right. You know, one line we've established. She's a teacher. Why the fuck is she then just wandering around? You know, I'm a teacher. My mornings are hectic as fuck. I'm running around everywhere trying to get the boys ready and getting out and getting to school on time for 8:15. And like, it's absolute chaos in this house. It must be nice to be a teacher in America, just strolling around.
So she's just strolling around. And then also her son's school gets out at 1:45 p.m.
Right.
Soccer at 1:45, she said. How short is this kid's school days? Yes. How short is her? Does she only teach part-time? What is going on? I was like, I was just like, this is bullshit. I was sat on the train, frantically making notes on my phone, like, this is bullshit. No school gets out at 1:45.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, what does Chris Evans do as well? Like, why is he just like, it's a weekday, just flitting around on the beach, doing nothing?
Is he at college? Does he have a job? Does he have rich parents? Like, what is going on? And I was like, I'm thinking far too deeply about this film. Like, and they're just volunteering. They'd put in some stuff for like a concert or something. Do you want to say on what? Like a Wednesday?
Right,
like,
yeah. Do you know what it is though? You're right. We should be thinking about this stuff, but that's the measure of a film sometimes, I think. When you get caught up in wanting to know these details, it's because the actual main film is not interesting you enough. So I think that's what's going on, because we've both done the same thing. It's like, why is this and why is that and who's that and what's their backstory? And because we weren't captured enough by what was going on.
Yes, very much so. Apologies if there's purring and meowing in the background.
Oh, it's not a terrible noise, is it?
She just really loves Cellular. It's her favourite film. She wants to be part of this.
So Speed was a good comparison, but it was also another comparison that I think is worth making is Phone Booth, because it came out the year after and was written by the same guy.
Really?
But initially, so talk about having an obsession, right? So he'd written Phone Booth.
Yeah, which is a lot grittier than this.
Well,
one would say.
What I read was initially Cellular was really gritty. It was a dark script.
Oh.
And then Chris Morgan was brought in to punch it up and to give it like a facelift and make it like more hip and young and fun. And he's the guy who's behind most of the latter Fast and Furious movies.
Oh, okay.
So you can sort of see
little Stath there.
Yeah.
Link.
So you can sort of see where that tonal shift probably come in.
Yeah.
Some of the gritty stuff maybe is the Stath stuff, and then some of the more like Fast and Furious is Chris Evans driving around in various different cars, doing skids and.
I mean, I was about to say I actually quite like all the car stuff, and then you went doing skids. I made it sound less.
But
less fun.
I like the concept where like every time he stops to do something, he then has to find a new car. I think that's quite good fun because he starts in his Jeep, doesn't he? And then he gets the school like security car. Yeah, which he smashes to shit and then eventually it gets hit by a big truck, doesn't it, and exploded. Then he steals the douchebag arsehole lawyer's car.
Brum brum car, shiny one. Yeah.
So I quite that concept. I like that kind of keeps hopping and changing. I think that's quite good fun.
With the cars, my favourite bit was it's not really with the cars. I guess I just want to talk about it because it's possibly my favourite bit. So Jessica calls him. Mm-hmm. He's like, who are you? This is a silly crank call. Ha 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 ha. And then he hears her getting threatened and takes it seriously. And she's like, help me. You've got to help my son. And they're driving around. I can't even remember what point of this it is, but his phone starts to run out of battery. Mm-hmm. And my all-time favourite bit of this film, I laughed out loud and skipped back a little bit. It's when she asks him on the phone, he's driving in a car, she's kidnapped. Have you got a charger?
Yeah.
And he goes, at my house, Jessica. I was like, I don't know why. This is my favorite. I full on the train laughed out loud. Because I'm like, what? Like, I know you're in a stressful situation, Jessica. But I mean, seriously, this is 2004 as well. We don't just have portable chargers around. Where do you think it is, Jessica? I was like, I'm fully on board with you, Ryan.
There are a couple of funny deliveries. Like he did his best, but the bit when he's in the school, he's trying to get to her son before a son whose name is. Do you remember the son's name?
Yes. Ricky Martin.
Ricky Martin. I mean, what a joke. So he's running around school going, Ricky Martin, Ricky Martin, which to be fair is quite funny.
It's really funny.
And then when the kid gets pulled into a car, doesn't he? And he's with the security guy who's been following around the school, rightly so, because there's this weird guy in board shorts and a red shirt running around going, Ricky Martin, and going in classrooms. It's not okay. And then as the kid gets like bundled into the car, he's like, look, that boy's being kidnapped. It's so awful. Poor Chris Evans. Like, there's no way to deliver that line at all.
He gets so many shit lines.
He does.
Bless him.
Everyone go and watch that bit on YouTube. It's so bad. Oh no! Stop that car, that boy.
The fact that he can just walk into that school is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is wrong with this school? Jessica, you need to reevaluate why people can just walk into your kid's school.
Right, yeah. Although, if they are getting out at 1:45, then, result.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah. Honestly,
maybe they've been hoping the whole time that he's going to get kidnapped. Maybe they're not so keen on Ricky Martin.
And when she's like, we named him before the singer became a thing. Nobody calls their kid Ricky. That's totally. The names in this film are the most blandest American
really
names
are.
I can think of. And it took me so long to realise Craig was not Greg.
Oh, right,
the American
husband.
accent.
Yeah,
Craig. So it's like, oh yeah, Greg. In all of my notes, it's Greg, and then someone like, Sonny changes to Craig. Oh yeah, his name's actually Craig because he is the blandest American white man on earth. Mm-hmm. Is he Craig or Greg? Who cares?
It's so true. Bland. I was very disappointed to learn the Stath's name as well when we do.
What's his name? Oh, Ethan.
Yeah, because he's this hard man. I I have a personal reason for why I don't want him to be named Ethan. But also,
I did. My head did break because Ethan to me is Mission Impossible. It is Ethan Hunt always. So I was like, oh yeah.
It's just not. It's not a threatening bad guy's name, is it?
No.
Ooh, like come on, do as you're told. Okay, Ethan. It doesn't work.
It's quite a soft name, isn't it? It's got the nice if at the beginning. Yeah. The hard bit's the at the end.
It is. Yeah. It is.
That's how boring this film is. This is how rubbish this film is.
The action's all right, isn't it? So, like you said, the that bit when he's like he didn't realize he's got to get a charger. And we've had a little bit of car stuff already, but that's when it sort of kicks up a notch, isn't it? So he drives the little, I don't know what you call it, like it's almost like a little smart car nowadays, but the little like security car through a construction site and smashes it up, and then parks in front of the mobile phone store.
Which has the title of the film, Cellular, on a sign.
Yeah.
Love it.
Get it in there somewhere. But I think that stuff's done pretty well, like that car stuff. And then when he's racing around later on in the convertible, all of that was pretty decent.
They are the most interesting bits. And even the ending we'll get to the ending. Even the ending I quite enjoyed, but the car stuff for me, I was like, right, this is when I'm entertained. The rest of it, I just don't care. Anytime they cut back to the house with Jessica, anytime like she was like trying to save her son or whatever, I just don't care. She was not compelling enough for me to care about her at all. She's such a nothing character. She's just blonde white woman in distress. Her only motivation is her child, which I get, to be fair, but also it's because there's the mystery around it. They try to use that to make it compelling, because she's I'm nobody, and I was just like, it just doesn't work. So for me, it was all, I'm just going to sit here, enjoy the car chases, which were actually done pretty well. And I thought, Chris Evans driving around looking cute in fancy cars, I'm all right with that. If he wants to join Fast and Furious, that sounds fabulous to me.
They don't do enough with Ricky Martin, do they? And again, I think that makes sense, considering when we find out who these people are, they probably wouldn't spend a lot of time threatening children. But it doesn't. I completely agree. Just like, she's not compelling enough. So the thing they needed to bring in, because you're right, we don't care about generic dad either. The thing they need to bring in to give us some sense of caring is the kid. But I think that's where they wrote themselves into the corner, by making the villains crap cops.
So, oh my God, I cannot believe you just revealed the twist.
Yeah, sorry everyone who hasn't seen Cellular.
It's fantastic. It's a fantastic moment. Chris Evans finds the age-old video camera, the super old video camera at the airport. Also,
no, it's at the
Is it not the airport?
That's when he finds out that they're cops. So he goes to meet the dad at the airport, because that's where he's
said to Jessica.
Told Jessica they're going to meet. Yeah. And that's when the Stath pulls out his badge. He goes, I'm a cop from LA.
So let's just get to it. Bridesmaids, right? We find out why he's allowed to be a cop in Bridesmaids. One quick line, he's allowed to be a cop. He's got an Irish accent. Cop. Figure it out. Fine. Can't believe I quote in Bridesmaids with this film. I'm sorry. There is no way Jason Statham could be an LA cop. The script for this film is already insane. Just write a line in and let him use his accent. Or just don't make him do an accent. Just let us believe it as an audience that somehow they've let this guy be a cop in LA.
At this point in his career, we're already just watching this film because he is who he is.
Yeah,
so we don't care. And we've seen him try American, and we know it doesn't work. But I think I think this must be the last kind of vestiges of him trying on. I'm pretty sure he doesn't bother in Transporter 2.
That's what I was going to ask, because I've not watched ahead, because I'm trying to sort of do a bit of a watch along. Is this the last time he does that accent? Yeah,
I'm not sure until same as you. Obviously, I'm watching as we go. He definitely does in Transporter. I just feel like in Transporter 2, everyone just kind of goes, "Fuck it, like why bother?" Like, everyone's here for you now. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll see. It's pointless, isn't it?
Because after this, he's got Transporter 2, Revolver, London, and he doesn't do any accents in Revolver or London.
No.
And then Crank.
He doesn't. Yeah, he's Statham Crank. So yeah, hopefully this is the end.
It's so terrible in this film as well. The moment he has to put any sort of emotion into his acting, which is mostly anger, it just goes. It just completely drops out. So I'm like, he's just angry the whole time. So why even? Why even try? What
I really liked is when Jessica was describing.
Oh my God!
How he looks to
the hair.
Yeah, he's got
close
cropped hair.
Oh, Jessica.
Has he?
Bless.
That's very polite of you. Do you think the State's got that line written in?
Yeah.
She can't describe me as bald. Close
I was like,
crosshair.
oh, crazy. My other favourite thing about his character is at the end, when they're at the boardwalk and at the beach, Venice Beach, whatever, and everybody else is like board shorts, bikinis, t-shirts, and he's in like this fucking giant leather jacket. And jeans, I think, just like clearly just sweating his balls off.
The look is far more important than comfort, obviously.
And you're a cop in LA. I know you're technically like off duty kidnapping people, but fit in. You live there. You know what people wear. You're standing out more with your close-cropped hair and your massive leather jacket.
It's true.
Oh, it's so funny. They're all the bits that I really enjoyed. Where I was just laughing at the randomness and the accent and the descriptions of him, and some of the jokes land all right for me. But also, so he's this cop. So you find out they're police officers. We watch on a video that they shoot like a Mexican
it's like a
drug gang.
Yeah.
And it's been filmed by Craig Gregg. And then he runs off just with the camera. I'm like, why does he film for so long? It's beyond me. But I'm also just like, is he a believable cop? Because he hears music on the phone, right? So Kim Basinger's calling Chris Evans again.
So the line's live the whole time for her, isn't it?
Yeah. And somebody pulls up and there's playing music. Oh my God. And she keeps on hiding this phone in this raggedy pile of rags. Again, you're a cop. I'd be like, why are you here?
I know, it bothered me every time he came in. And she's always like half crouched, like, don't catch me in the act. She's like, what are those animals that freeze? Like a possum. She's like,
oh yeah.
And he doesn't question it ever. It's so weird.
Question it. And then he hears the music, tells her to shut up because he can hear, but then doesn't investigate it at all. The worst cop ever and the worst kidnapper ever.
Yeah. You see,
incompetent.
He's not just not just a plod on the beat. He's a detective.
So incompetent.
It's awful, isn't it?
I can't believe we've been actually talking about this film for this long.
What jokes landed for you? Because the tone is something I definitely want to talk about.
The tone is all over. I did enjoy Ricky Martin, and I hated myself for laughing at it. I don't have a charger. I don't know if it was meant to be a joke, but it's the funniest line in the film because he's so annoyed, and I would be as well. Like, come on. What other jokes? They're the only two that I can think of. I did like the sort of the horrible lawyer when his car gets towed, and Chris Evans is just like around in the background running behind the car.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's about it, but the tone is a mess.
Well, because bits like that are quite cartoony, which is fine if that's what you're going for. I think the problem is that it has this undercurrent of like really serious stuff. Like kidnapping is serious. Like extortion is serious. Corrupt cops is serious. Like all of this, it could have been more like Prisoners, that the Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman,
film.
Or like Brie Larson in Room, or like, I'm not saying we need to go that far, but if you change this up a little bit, that's the sort of film you could be watching. And I think perhaps that's what the writer was initially going for. Because I read that he was partly inspired by the LA Rampart scandal in 1999. So that was obviously all really serious, and was, this idea of them being corrupt and doing criminal acts for their own benefit and really doing the kind of things you described to people. That could have been a really interesting take on it. So it's one of those things that happens when things get script doctored, then it loses its identity. Because at times I was like, this just doesn't sit well together when you then got Chris Evans like a cartoon character hiding behind things, and we can see him in the background. And that guy is really good as the lawyer because he is really fucking annoying.
Yeah, I hate him so much.
Yeah, me too. So he's done the role as he's been asked, but then that doesn't fit necessarily with other parts of it as well.
And it just feels like padding. And I think that's really interesting what you said. This film being gritty, looking at like this terrible thing, this woman's been kidnapped, her and her family are being threatened. She's only got one contact with the outside world, and that happens to be a sort of layabout person. Or like, I think it could have worked really well if it was sort of like an older person.
William H. Macy.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's the only line. And and make it more of a thriller, or almost like a horror thriller. No car chases, trying to figure out, we've got this new tech, because it's about the technology as well. We've got this new technology, this mobile phone that, you know, is fantastic, but it also has like all of these issues. How do I then find clues to help this woman? Could have been so much more interesting than some weird, quite violent stuff that happens, threats to children, police corruption, some funny car chases, some weird jokes that don't fit, and then a terrible, boring shootout in a tiny space at the end.
Oh, that bit's all, yeah. It's all play for laughs. I think that's where it gets it wrong. Like even the bit we were talking about before with like Stath has gone off to that they think they know they're gonna where they're gonna, you know, it's getting towards the final act and they're gonna get Chris Evans and they're gonna get the footage and stuff they're trying to find. And Jessica's left alone just with that one guy, and he comes up and starts threatening her, and like feels like it might get a bit psychosexual and get a bit cringy. And then she, like I said earlier, she cuts his artery in his arm, and he's like, "What have you done to me, bitch? What have you done to me, bitch? I'm going to talk to you about bitch in a minute." And then he bleeds out. Even like again, like imagine that in the hands of like Denis Villeneuve or somebody, but it's played for laughs. It's really weird. And the bit that really told me that they didn't have a handle on the tone of this film was right at the end of that, and she's got out of the room, and the guy's lying on the floor, and he's bleeding out, and the camera holds and holds and holds, and he looks up one more time, and he goes, "Bitch," and then dies. Like it's so bad.
It's so bad, and like because I sort of forgot when she cuts him. I've only seen it twice before. Why she doesn't go for the neck or anything like that, and then it's like it's nice because she's been the damsel in distress the whole time, and then she uses her smarts and cuts him. But I hate that beforehand it's because she's in danger from being raped or from being potentially sexual, and then afterwards it is him then calling her a bitch. I'm just sort of like, this is actually quite a good moment for a female character that's been in distress the entire time, whose only motivation is her son, which is annoying because, you know, women are more than that, and like the threat to her own life, maybe the sort of wider implications of things. Like it doesn't have to be that she has a child that she has to protect. And then it's just like, women are just bitches, right? Women are just there to be raped and to be bitches and be kidnapped. Sort of like she uses her smarts. And then she even uses her smarts afterwards in terms, I mean, I say that she rams a car into a building, but, you know, she's trying to open it and she goes, "This is what to do." Gets in the car, rams it, tells him to go and hide, her son to go and hide, because I'm going to ram it in, all of that sort of stuff. That's her being potentially clever. And it's just sort of like, but, you know, she's just a bitch, right? And still needs a man to save her at the end. Yeah. Well, actually, not fully, does she? She saves the family.
She saves the family, yeah.
Yeah. But at the end, it's all like, "Thank you, Ryan."
Yeah.
And I'd also be like, I just killed 2 guys.
Yeah.
I'm pretty badass.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who's thanking me?
The bitch count is off the charts. You know, when you go on IMDb trivia, sometimes it has like weird little things about like, there were 3,047 fucks in this film. It's the most fucky film ever. I was really hoping somebody had done a bitch count because there were so many uses of that word in this movie.
And it annoys me because I'm trying to reclaim bitch and bastard because I don't think they should be gendered. I think everybody can be a dickhead, can be a bastard, can be a bitch, right? So I'm like, great, let's use them for everybody. I will call a man a bitch, and that tends to annoy men, by the way. They don't tend to like that. I'd much rather a bastard. And so I'm like, it's great. And then I forget there was a time when bitch was the really big insult towards women. And you watch, because I don't think people use it that much anymore.
No,
and then you watch this, and she's constantly being called a bitch. It's like all the way throughout.
No, every character.
Yeah. Is that because it's the only swear word you're allowed to get? Or is it a symptom of the time, or a mixture of both? Like, it's just really, it's not great. I don't enjoy it.
No, and maybe I was a bit more hyper aware of it because I knew I was talking to you about it. Maybe if I'd just been watching it and it'd been on the background, I wouldn't have soaked it up. But it did tie into like some of the wider misogyny that is present in the film. There's like the treatment of the girls on the boardwalk at the start. And,
Chad is a chode.
But we are in like Entourage, early 2000s era, so I think it is symptomatic of the time as well. I think it's a bit of both, isn't it?
And we do get Chris Evans with his top off, so
Yeah,
I mean, we do get more semi-naked women than semi-naked men.
there's a bit of Michael Bay butt
Yeah,
wiggling and stuff, isn't there?
yeah,
There
a
is.
little bit too much. And tried to be framed by his pervy gross friend. Just don't have the pervy gross friend in it. Just
Quite, yeah.
he's not needed. He takes up too much time in this already short film.
Yeah, he was totally superfluous.
Yeah.
Maybe
Don't
to
like
show
it.
that Chris Evans is not as bad as he could be.
Oh God.
He could be Chad.
He could be Chad.
Yeah.
Oh, the jokes about the nipples. Hated it so
Oh yeah, about the
much.
friend. Yeah.
Oh God.
Is it cold here?
Yeah, and I hate that Chris Evans participated in it. And I
Mm.
know it wasn't his choice because it was in a film and it had been written. But I was like, come on, Chris, you're better than this.
Oh, have a word. Nowadays,
Yeah.
I'm sure he wouldn't. But maybe that's the early part of his career. He had no choice.
Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah, it's just stuff like that I just don't get about this film. What am I watching? What do you want me to watch? It's about 5 different films in one.
It's interesting because obviously just before this we have the Italian Job,
Mm.
and that has a little bit, mostly just from Seth Green's character. But I would, and Tanya and I call it out when we talk about that film. But I would say this being slightly later on. I know it's only like a year, I think. But in terms of that kind of lads, look at women, this is slightly worse.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's interesting that we're in this period where like we're kind of progressing slightly in terms of that. But then, I don't want to put it all at Michael Bay's feet, but he wasn't helping things.
Yeah, it's definitely I would say he's the main perpetrator of it.
And Entourage, which
I
did like when it first came out, but when you try and rewatch it now, it isn't completely unrewatchable because of the attitudes that are portrayed in that show.
Yeah, I've not watched the show or the film. Kevin many years ago got drunk and watched the film, and it's the worst film he said he's ever seen in his whole entire life.
Yeah, I've never seen the film because I think I was over it by that point.
Yeah. And also this film as well, I hate that comedy value is around William H. Macy's character and his wife wanting to open the day spa. And it's all very homophobic and
he's called Pussy Whipped, isn't he?
Yeah, and all of that sort of stuff. And I hate it. I'm just like, and also you live in LA, so there's must be a million day spas. They must make a fortune, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful people live there.
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
why are you mocking it and being like, oh, you'd be much harder as a cop? Like, he's clearly an older guy cop. You can tell by his mustache and how sad he seems about the job. He's like classic, this is my last day on the job
hangdog
stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm just sort of like, really, why are these jokes here? Why is this funny that his wife is opening up a day spa and he wants to be involved in it, and then we're mocking her by saying it's the not right type of blue, it's not the right type of face mask. I tell you what, people pay hundreds of pounds to have that face mask put on their face. It should be the right sort of face mask. Thank you very much. Just because it's for women in quotations mark doesn't mean you can mock it, you dickheads.
Yeah, it's true. I think Macy's all right in it. I think he does just about enough to make his character believable. Yeah.
He's got a thankless role, hasn't he?
He has, but I think because he's William H. Macy, he brings some stuff too. And actually, perhaps his attitude in response to what you were just talking about is quite nice, isn't it? That he's not going along with a joke in order to be one of the guys. He's like, no, stop calling it. I can't remember what he keeps saying. It's a day spa. I can't remember what a beauty parlor, I think, isn't it?
Beauty parlor, yes.
And he's like, no, it's not. It's a day spa, but it's not done in like a derogatory towards beauty parlors either. It's just like, no, understand what I'm doing. And I think that ties into what you're saying. Like, we live in LA. Like, it'll be fine. Like, actually, I'm going to be minted probably.
Yeah, you carry on. Although you're all corrupt, so you probably are all minted.
Yeah, true.
And even with, I mean, I'm looking far too deep into this film now. Even with Chris Evans, like, young panicked white guy comes in saying he's got a woman on the phone. He takes it seriously. Yeah, he's like, go up there and do it. It plays on his mind. He is concerned about what has happened to a female victim. He's not just, because you see it when he talks to his boss or the lead guy.
His detective friend. Yeah,
Yeah, and he just dismisses it. He's like, oh no, whatever. I've got, he takes it seriously. And it could be a film where all of that is a joke. And it isn't. I'm thinking way too much about this film, which is very surface level.
Yeah,
it has no nuance.
No, it doesn't at all. But I mean, that's okay. That's okay for us to look at it and consider it in a way and say, like, we can call it out. There are some other funny, like, old school references, I thought, in terms of phones.
Oh my god!
What is it?
Nokia advert that is this film.
Oh my god! I mean, the end credits are some of the worst things I've ever seen. But I love that. And Chris Evans is like, "Stop wasting my minutes."
Yeah.
I mean, that used to be great. A thing. To be fair, like, I've only got a certain amount of minutes.
Yeah, I forgot that minutes was a thing until he said that. Although it's not minutes if somebody calls you, is it? It's only if you call out.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So get your old school modern technology right, please. Yeah. Somebody didn't understand how cell phones worked.
I mean, pretty much everybody, I think, that worked on this film.
Oh, the copying of the video from the camcorder to his phone. What?
Did you know that phones now have technology with a camera on it? Oh, yeah, great. So he's just filmed it. It's like me putting my phone up to the screen now and filming it. It's really good quality.
Yeah, really good quality. And I'm sure that's legit evidence.
Yeah.
But we know his camera can film videos because he films the video of Jessica Biel.
Yeah.
At the beginning, you see breadcrumbs.
Yeah. Chekhov's mobile phone.
My favourite extra in this film is at the airport. So they've got Greg and the bad guys, and they're taking him out the airport, and they smack his head on the car. And there's a woman in a pink jump in the background who looks and is like, oh, weird.
Yeah.
Shakes her head and walks off. Fucking legendary.
Yeah, it's great. Do you think that was an actual like extra? Do you think there's like a guerrilla shot where it's somebody walking past and that somebody's been asked to do that? It's interesting. I clocked
Either way, genius. I loved how it's like she is the best thing in this film.
I'm not going to do anything about this.
Yeah. Just shakes head, oh, LA, walks off. It's like the woman in Everybody Went Mad about the woman in Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
The wedding woman. I feel like she is my wedding woman.
Yeah, sure.
I was like, she is bringing it, whether she's just a bystander or an extra. Spot on. Favourite.
And then we've got the cross wires, which leads us, how we got there. That definitely was a thing back in the day. I'm not sure about mobile phones, but it definitely was a thing, wasn't it? You could get cross wires. And that led us to the lawyer guy. Did you read about who that was originally going to be?
Was it going to be the guy who's in Entourage, who's really annoying? Jeremy Piven.
It wasn't. He would have done that role quite well. He is, actually, to be fair, yeah. It wasn't. They wanted Simon Cowell for a cameo.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No.
And he was up for it, but I think something with the scheduling didn't work out.
Simon Cowell.
So
I can't. Wow.
I mean, tonally, it's already all over the place, but now he could have had Simon Cowell in it too.
Simon Cowell attempting to act. A lawyer. I mean, I want to see it.
He has been in something, hasn't he? Like playing himself. I'm sure playing like not himself, but playing like a reality panel judge. I'm sure I've seen him in that somewhere.
But like that guy is in it. The lawyer guy's in it quite a lot. Like having Simon Cowell and expecting him to act for that amount of time.
I wonder if it would have been a lot shorter if it had been him.
Yeah,
because they ended up getting an actual actor in.
And going, wow, you are a smarmy arsehole. Let's have you. Yeah. Wow,
they probably just let him run with it, and then he was giving them gold,
Yeah, gosh, it makes you think about who he is in real life, bless him. Maybe he's just a really good actor.
Maybe. He has one of those punchable faces.
So punchable, which is so mean, isn't it?
Not if that's the role he's playing. He's just doing.
And not if he knows it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Because casting calls aren't generic man. It's I want somebody who's got a punchable face to be a smarmy lawyer.
And he's gone for it, absolutely.
Dear. Are we gonna talk about the shootout at the end?
Yeah, let's do it.
I don't where to even right. So let's talk about.
I was just looking up before you get into it.
Yeah.
So we keep saying LA and LA. I think whether this is different, but to British people, it's Santa Monica, which is California.
Okay. I have no idea.
Yeah. Same. I don't know.
Yeah, sorry.
It's because he goes to LAX that made me think it was LA.
Yeah, and
But maybe Santa Monica is that an area of LA?
Here you go, beachfront city in western Los Angeles.
All right, good.
So it's not completely wrong.
No, we were completely right, in fact.
I'm so good with geography. I'm the best.
Yes, tell us about this wonderful location they picked for the finale.
God.
This expansive movie where he's been all over Santa Monica and LA to the airport, on the beach, all these lovely, like, wide open blue sky spaces. He's gone up levels. I think the leveling in it's quite good because sometimes he has to go up to the tops of buildings and he has to do that thing that everyone's always wanted to do. When you always see them, those building site tubes where they chuck the rubbish down, all anyone wants to do is go and jump in there and see if that's a cool slide.
I did like that.
Friction burns, I imagine, but he gets to do that.
Friction burns, but also it just reminds me of the old public information films we had over here in the UK about everything kills you when we were kids, and they used to like show them in schools and on TV and be like, don't throw a frisbee near electricity because you will die. Don't go near water, you will die. Don't look at a tree, you will die. Like, it just reminded me of those. I'm sure there's one of that on a construction site. Don't go down a little tube because you will die. But yeah, I mean, I totally want to go down the place. That looks cool, like great fun. Yeah.
So anyway, sorry, the fact that this really open movie, and then for the finale,
they go to the pier. Chris Evans Ryan's got a fantastic plan, to be fair, which is when he calls their bluff and is like, yeah, I've got the evidence, you call me back, arsehole, and puts it down. Fantastic. Especially when he's like, shit, what have I just done? The Stath is like, oh God, this guy, he's tricked me because I'm a terrible cop who's not very smart, and calls him back and goes, yeah, right, let's meet. They meet at the pier. He puts his hood up for some reason to be incognito. Ryan does. Weird.
It's like the Marvel style cap, which I know you guys were talking about in the last Ms. Marvel episode. I'm in disguise. Nobody can recognize me. On
a hot beach, on a pier, got a hoodie on. Sure. Also, if you read the Wikipedia, it says that at the pier, Ryan in disguise.
Oh, okay. Yeah, good.
Yes, yeah, okay. So then there's this whole, can you see him? He's on the phone. Oh, see him, got him. And then they capture him. He tells Jessica Biel, you're nothing to me. And she looks really offended for no apparent reason.
But she's already done
then, Ryan jumps off the pier, comes out in the water. I mean, that he should have taken his top off for that. Agreed. I'm so disappointed that they didn't. That's bullshit. And then finds, I guess it's like a boat shed. Yeah.
A boat shed. Why not?
Yeah. A boat shed. And bad guys, Tanner, and is he called Tanner? The bad guy, the main bad guy, the guy from The Americans.
Yeah, the detective. Yeah.
The detective. Yeah. And Ethan, Jason Statham, follow his little footsteps in the sand to the boathouse. William H. Macy comes in as well because he figures it all out because of radios, because these are literally the worst cops ever. Yep. So head bad guy, detective, over radios, which everybody in this crowded vicinity can hear, goes, we found him, he's in the boathouse, we're going to kill him. William H. Macy goes, that's
Prissy
very suspicious.
Prissy wits, William H. Macy.
And so they all go to the boathouse, and then there's the longest shootout for the smallest space in the whole entire world. Like, it's probably smaller than my living room.
Yeah, it's awful.
And yet somehow, I swear to God, it goes on for about 25 minutes.
It's like I know what we did last summer.
Yes.
Which is fine for a little, it's meant to be a claustrophobic horror movie space. But yeah, it's so weird. It's such a weird choice. And when you want to do the kind of John Woo stuff, which they do. William H. Macy William H. Macy jumps through the air firing his gun, doesn't he, to shoot the Stath?
That's so sweet. I mean, the Stath who's defeated by a cell phone.
Yeah.
This film, beautiful.
Cellular,
those threads coming together.
It's awful. It's so bad. I mean, you get to see, as you said, you get Evans and Stath together for a little bit, which is great. Stath kicks America's ass all over the
he has like a lovely little twinkle in his eye at some bits, like the bit when so there's all the fighty as Tony would say, and shooty
you can claim that one.
And the Stath and William H. Macy, can't remember anybody's names, tells Stath to turn around, and a move from the Stath clocks, there's a little light above him, Somehow still holding his gun. William H. Macy's first rule wasn't get rid of the gun that the bad guy's holding.
Yeah.
It was like,
I
no,
think
turn
just say
around
drop
and let me
it,
lecture
yeah.
you. And he goes, shoots out the light. Oh my God, drama, everybody, because it's now dark. The one light in the boat shed has gone out.
It's pretty powerful though, wasn't it? It created a lot of light in there.
and they do all this sneaking around, sneaky in the smallest boat shed in the world. It's like it's so small, and they try to make it like the huge basement layout in Elm Street, which is like really big. Sneaking around. And then Chris Evans clocks somehow in the dark, because the light's gone out, that the Stath is going to shoot William H. Macy from behind. I mean, because Chris Evans hurt his knee. All this shit. He's been shot. Exploding. Oh, I thought he just like twisted his knee.
No, he gets shot.
And like driving all these cars, smashing things up. There's explosions, going down a construction site, and twists his knee. That's
what
I
get shot in the leg.
Get shot. Okay, sorry, I take that back. And he sees it, and he's like, "Oh, I've got your number," because earlier that little breadcrumb. Yeah, lovely little breadcrumb from earlier. Got your number, and rings Jason Statham's cell phone. So William H. Macy can almost, like a computer game, go.
He dies through the air in slow-mo. It's a powerful moment.
It's a beautiful moment. But just before he shoots the Stath, it's a beautiful moment. The Stath looks at Chris Evans. He's got a little twinkle in his eye, like, nice move.
You got me.
Yeah, and I really liked it. I was like, the Stath's bringing it. He's gone, fuck it. This film is a shit show. Yeah. I'm going to have a lovely, cute little twinkle in my eye.
I don't think
he cares. Like a nice one.
I spoke about it with Mike and Megan when we were doing Collateral in the episode before this. I think he just loves his life. Why wouldn't he?
I think he does. And that's why I like him. Well, let's talk about him in general, maybe in a little bit after we talked about this film.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't he like it? And even in this film, like, even if it is a big pile of shite, like, he's having a good time. He's getting paid good money. He's living in LA. He's hanging out with Jessica Biel and Chris Evans. Happy days.
Yeah. He always, and that's what I like about him as an actor. Let's just talk about it now, because that's what I'm doing. I feel he knows his limitations, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, actually, I'm going to do it better. He knows what he's good at. He's so smart, and he's so smart in his career. He knows what he is good at, and I have so much respect for that. He's incredibly competent, which we all know is one of my favorite things. And he is good at what he does, and he knows it. And I just love that he embraces that, and he's not afraid to own it, as we see in Spy, which is why it's his favorite performance for me, because he's funny, he's sweet, he's cute, he's hard, he's stupid, he's self-knowing, but in all the best ways to wrap up into his character. And I love it. And I love that he just embraces that. And I love that he just is like, I feel, and he is probably more strategic than this thing, especially later in his career. I feel like he just goes, this is going to be a fun role. It may do something for my career. I'm going to go and do it. And I just love that attitude. And he's just, whenever you see him in interviews, he's just him. Like, I don't think he's got any affectations apart from the accent issue. I think he's just like, I'm just rolling with it. This is awesome. I'm having a grand old time. I was a model. I was like a dancer. I did all this martial arts, all these amazing skills. And now I get to do all of it and have a grand old time.
Yeah.
And earn a load of money.
Yeah.
And go to cool locations and do cool things. You can see, and you've talked about this in so many of the episodes, so I'm just repeating it. You can see how he does his stunts, he does his things himself. He is good at it. And he fucking embraces it. I'm like, yes.
Yeah. He's, I have said it before, but I'll probably end up saying in a lot of episodes, he's our last true action hero. I really believe it. We have got Scott Adkins, but in terms of like mainstream A-list, he's the one. And I can see why Stallone gave him the call. I need a number 2 for Expendables, and you're my guy. I need somebody younger and fresher to act alongside all of the old school actors. And you can also see why the Fast franchise. We've called in The Rock, we've called in Dwayne, and he made a big difference. We now need somebody that's going to do it again, that's going to elevate us up again. So they called the Stath. He's the only other person you can call. So it makes sense that these two big, muscular franchises needed him. And he's made both of them, Expendables he was in from the first one, but he brings something to the Expendables that nobody else could. And he has elevated the Fast franchise again to the point that he gets his own spin-off. because everybody wanted to watch him and The Rock, the Statham The Rock. I know he's not The Rock anymore, but I like calling him The Rock. Much more than they wanted to watch Vin Diesel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would watch Stath and anything. I mean, it does help that. I mean, I know Em doesn't think so, that he is good looking. Despite his close cropped hair.
Yeah,
which doesn't seem to do it for many people, but I'm happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't even remember what we're talking about now. I just started repeating what everybody else has said about Jason Statham.
Well, we have to talk about Statham at some point. That's what the whole show's about. And one day if he ever gets to hear any of these, you can hear each of us wax lyrical about how much we like him.
I think that's why I don't like him as the villain in this film. I think we've had the transporter, and even in some of his other films, he is sort of villainous.
Yeah.
But I don't think he suits being a villain. I think he suits being more sort of like the slightly gruff but kind-hearted action guy, because he is very charming and he is very charismatic. And that is, for me, why I don't 100% think he works in this. I would like to see it. There's nothing wrong with having a charismatic bad guy. Like, what if they'd allowed him to be a bit more like that scene, like the little cheeky twinkles in his eye that he has sometimes throughout this film? Why didn't they let him be a bit more like that? I would have really enjoyed that. And tonally, I wonder in his career how this fits when we look at all the films either side. Like, for me, it's a bit of a blip him being a bad guy in this. But I don't know if that's just because I'm quite looking back at his career and the films of his that I like, that I'm being nostalgic about as well, maybe.
Well, he doesn't really do it again until the Fast franchise. So perhaps he felt like it wasn't a good fit either. At the end of the day, I think most of us are formative years, right? What forms us as a person, we change, of course, as we get older, but there's that kernel inside us. And he is the cheeky chappy who was found selling perfumes and stuff on the street corner. And he got a role written from him in Lock, Stock, and then he had charisma. So then he got used that cleverly, as you said, wise choices, good agent, owning who he is. He used that, but he's always going to come back to being that guy. He's that cheeky chappy where he started with Guy Ritchie. And I think maybe so I think I'm backing up with saying maybe that's why it doesn't quite work for you here.
Yeah, nice.
So this was directed by David R. Ellis.
What else has he done?
He did Final Destination 2 or 3, maybe.
Oh, all right.
So he's done a couple of Final Destinations, and he did Snakes on a Plane.
Oh, which, I'm sorry, is a classic.
But again, which when you think of it in that way, sadly he's passed, I think, David R. Ellis, but that makes sense in terms of the tone. Looking at those kind of, the Final Destinations are just having fun with the concept. Snakes on a Plane's having fun with the concept. Yeah, Final Destination 2. Oh, and The Final Destination.
I feel like he could have done much more with this film then. But like, if he'd been allowed to go straight sort of madcap action comedy. Yeah, and again, that's just the problem with the tone, isn't it? That it's two films. It is two films,
yeah. Mushed together. There is a Final Destination reference though. So this is in the Final Destination verse. When at the airport, the flight number is called out, which is
really
cool. Yeah,
that is very cool.
I assume he's chucked in there. That's quite good fun.
Very pleased with that.
Yeah. So that's quite nice. And obviously, I guess, I don't know, maybe now I'm reading way too much into it, but the truck coming in wiping out the car is kind of reminiscent of the bus.
Actually, that's a really good point. Yeah,
in Final Destination, but definitely the flight number for the Final Destination crash is called out.
I really like that. That appeals to little geek in me.
Yeah, exactly. We all like those little things, don't we? If there are any big fans of this movie, there must be some out there. I mean, I like it enough. It's all right. It's watchable.
It's watchable. I had a 2.5 hour train journey with a change in between, and it kept me entertained.
Yeah,
for 80 something minutes of it.
Absolutely.
Although not the end credits, which I was determined to watch just in case, and I was like, "Fucking hell, is this ever going to end?"
Yeah, it's awful, isn't it? So it keeps taking moments from the movie, doesn't it, and then zooming in on the phone screen and having like directed by David R. Ellis, starring. Yeah, it's really bad. But yeah, if there are any big fans, you can actually watch this in 4 other languages and 4 other formats. I don't know if you know about this. It's one of those films that somehow has got into the zeitgeist and it's been remade 4 times.
Oh my
Do you
god.
want to hear the list?
Yeah, I do.
All right. So Bollywood remade it in 2007 as
Amazing.
Speed.
No.
Yeah, called Speed. The Malayam, I'm sorry if I'm butchering that, Malayam. So
So that's that Malay? Would that be Malay?
Malay. It's another form of Indian cinema.
Okay.
They also remade it in 2007 and called it Hello.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
The one
Hello.
the one that's most, I mean, I'm sure they don't say it like that, but the one that's most celebrated is the Hong Kong version from 2008, and that's called Connected. And most people say it's actually better than Cellular.
I mean, not hard.
Yeah, sure. And then in 2009, Tollywood, which I had to look it up if I'm honest, which is another type of Indian cinema, remade it called Rick.
Rick?
Speed, hello, Connected Rick. So you could spend a lot of your time watching Cellular if you chose to.
I mean, I want to watch the Hong Kong remake, to be fair.
Yeah.
That was, what one was that? That wasn't Hello,
Connected,
was it?
that's called.
Connected.
Mm.
I wonder if I can force Kevin to watch that with me.
Do it. Just don't tell him, just put it on. Got this really good film. I've heard really good things about it.
Well, we seem to be doing Nick Cage, so I'll just pretend Nick Cage is in it.
Yeah. Everything's better with Nick Cage in it, to be fair.
Wow. Hello is my favourite.
Hello.
In my head, that's how they say it, and I will not hear anything different.
So it doesn't quite have the action hero tone to it, does it?
Oh,
Which is
it's
a
so
shame.
good. I'm just looking at the post as well, and so the top 4 billings. So it's Kim Basinger, Chris Evans, and then Jason Statham, and then William H. Macy. See, like he's obviously getting a name, and he is a draw.
Yeah.
And in fact, he's got a bigger picture on the post than Chris Evans does.
He does, doesn't he? Yeah.
He seems to be like running down an empty highway.
His big close cropped head is front and center on that poster.
So I do wonder if people, I was here for Chris Evans. I wonder if people were here for Jason Statham.
I think by this point they probably are. I think The Transporter blew up, didn't it? And that's the reason why that's the first film that he is in that gets a sequel that becomes a franchise. I think he has become a draw by this point.
Nice. Interesting. I'm now just reading the Wikipedia page, which I probably should have done before we start talking.
So it cost 25 million, which is pretty reasonable, I think.
Yeah, that's not
I think
bad.
they've done well for their budget, but
Considering,
I reckon it ran out by the end,
probably. Yeah, and with all
while they're in a
and with all
boathouse.
of the car driving. Maybe that's what I was in the boathouse. Spent all their money on the cars and blocking off roads to do all the action scenes. Yeah, maybe they're like, oh shit, we're just boathouse?
Yeah. And also a set boathouse because it looks really poorly lit.
Yeah.
It made 57.7 million. So actually, in terms of his career, this is still, I would say, a success.
Is that box office?
Yeah, box office
people
worldwide.
Went to see this.
They did, yeah.
Interesting.
So looking at his films up to this date, so Collateral, which we can't really count as his, but he is in it. That made the most at 220. Italian Job made 176. Snatch made 83. And The One made 72. So this is, of his 10, this is the 5th most successful film so far of his career. So it did outperform The Transporter, box office wise.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay. It's not what I would have expected.
No. So, for all the flaws we pointed out and the perhaps not miscasting, but perhaps it's not quite the right role for him, it clearly has been another important step in his career.
And, good on him. I just think good on him.
Yeah.
Like, auditioned for it, got it. It's like, let's go do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I love an actor like that. I think you talked about that with Tony, didn't you? About, actors that just sort of show up and do their job and do it well. And done.
Yeah. If I was in his shoes, I'd be loving my life too.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Nice.
All right, let's see what a couple of people on Letterboxd have to say. Josh Lewis says this is a very lean and satisfying gimmick thriller with a real dark sense of humor and cynicism about its absurd situational premise. There's a bunch of reliable actors capable of elevating their brief screen time, including a showdown I never knew I always wanted. William H. Macy versus Statham. And that distinctly vulgar popcorn commercial style of the mid-2000s. Fun. There's an exclamation mark, so that's why I put that emphasis on there for him.
He's gone with the film.
Yeah.
And I have respect for that.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you just got to sit and be there for the ride. And he was like, shoot out William H. Macy, Jason Statham.
Absolutely.
Fuck it, sounds great. I'm swearing loads. I don't know. I think it's because it's the middle of the day. I don't normally get to swear in the middle of the day because I'm at work, so I do
just embracing
apologise.
it. It's an explicit podcast. Fuck
You've
those
not
people
sworn
that
at
don't
all.
like
It's
it.
just been me.
Jordan Beaumont Anderson, the name is nearly as long as the review, says, a nearly perfect example of the endangered mid-budget thriller, sturdy, propulsive, and dumber than a puppy.
I actually think that is pretty spot on.
They don't make films like this anymore.
They don't. To be fair, we would never watch a film like this that was made now.
No.
At all. And I think give it credit for that. There was a wonderful time in the 2000s where we did just get to watch pretty run-of-the-mill mediocre action films.
Mhm.
And that was actually pretty sweet.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need that. As you said, you were on a train, you needed to fill that time.
Yeah.
You had that break in between. So an 84-minute film that you knew was going to get broken. So you don't want to watch something, you don't want to watch Arrival. You can't interrupt that film partway through because the flow's gone. I don't know why I went with Arrival. It's not comparable to Cellular at all.
One of the best films ever made.
Agreed. But it's not a comparison point
It's
for Cellular.
both about communication.
True. Yeah, that's obviously what it was.
Yeah.
This name is magnificent and I'm jealous. Tim McCopp. They say this is extremely 2004 in both fashion and musical choices. And this is probably the only point in time where Hollywood could have possibly attempted to turn Bill Macy into an action star.
Oh.
One of the rare villain roles for Statham, and the only time in his career that I've ever seen where he is not speaking with his trademark English accent. Although what accent he is doing is indecipherable, seemingly drifting in and out of New York and Southern. That last line is so sitcom level corny that it's actually endearing.
What is his last line?
Not his last line, sorry, the last line of the movie.
Oh, right.
And I think it does have sitcom-y moments in it. That's a good shout. The last line is the bit when Jessica comes up to Rick. Is his name Rick? No, Ryan.
Ryan.
Rick is the name of the remake. I need to go and watch Rick.
Ricky Martin.
Oh, yeah, of course it is. Oh, so that film's named after Ricky Martin.
Right, yeah.
Even better. So, she comes up to him, doesn't she, and says, like, I'm not sure I can ever thank you enough in my breathless voice. And he's like, what does he say? He's like, don't ever call me again.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the last line, isn't it?
And she's like, is there anything I can do for you? Yeah, don't ever call me again.
Yeah,
like,
hilarious.
You could, I don't know, take me out for dinner. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Like,
yeah. Pay for my phone bill.
Yeah.
Get my car, which has probably been towed. Pay for that.
He's definitely run out of those minutes, hasn't he?
Mm.
It's been shot in the leg. No, but ha.
Oh yeah, pay for my hospital bills because you've got to pay for all that shit out in America.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
God, Jessica, you're clearly wealthy.
Yeah, absolutely. And then good old Lou, who I'm going to track down and get on the podcast at some point. He says, this has got to be the 5th or 6th time I've seen this movie.
Lou. 5th or 6th time. I love you, Lou. Wow.
See, your boy Lou was obsessed with this movie in high school, partly because my friend and I were big Chris Evans fans, semi-ironically at the time, now fully unironic, and partly because we thought this movie had a so bad it's good quality. Turns out it's mostly just regular bad. Although the movie's insistence on treating shitty Nokia cell phones like the cutting-edge technology is still good for more than a few unintended laughs. At one point, Evans has to deliver the line, "Did you know my phone remembers the last 50 incoming calls?" in a tough voice. Weirdly, given that the plot revolves around cell phones and a video of cops killing unarmed minorities, it would actually be more relevant now than it was a decade ago. I love it. Yeah, good point. I love it when Statham plays a character who has clearly lived in America for a long time. In Cellular, he plays an LAPD detective, but doesn't bother hiding his English accent for even a second. It implies some weird backstory where he moved here as an adolescent and refused to assimilate. This is a whatever role for Statham, although he's genuinely terrifying, especially compared to everyone around him. There's a great fight scene with him and Evans, where Evans mostly just goes, "Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit," and gets punched in the face. So there you go, Lou. You definitely watched the same film as us.
Lou, that was brilliant. I love that he's like there's some backstory where he refused to assimilate. That's my favourite bit.
It's got to be true. And it's right along the lines of what you were saying before. We need it in a movie somewhere.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, it's made me really happy.
Good. Any last thoughts before you give me your personal rating?
No.
Fair enough. What else is there? I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed they didn't change the name of the movie.
What do you think it should have been called?
Well, if Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, why is this not called mobile phone?
Oh, yeah, that is true.
We don't have cellulars here, people. Why are we forced to work out what that means?
Yeah, that's a good point.
It needs to be changed over. Like, if Americans can't cope with looking up the word philosopher, couldn't say that for a second. You have to really try hard to get that word out. If they can't look up that word, we shouldn't be forced to look up the word cellular. It's disgusting.
I agree. And there's another film now called Cellular, isn't there?
Oh, is there?
I think so. Maybe not. I've probably made that
About
up.
phones again.
So, I mean, this can't have been one of the first films that did the whole mobile phone thing, like roving technology style stuff that then we then start to get like with the found footage or the ones which are all like filmed on phones or laptops or whatever. This can't have been
probably in that first
do you reckon?
Wave, mustn't it? In 2004. Yeah, I reckon.
When we all started to get a bit scared of technology, well, old people started to get scared of technology. Like, what can technology do? And this shows that technology can do good things.
It does, yeah. You can film other footage.
You can get phone calls from people in distress and save them.
Good point, yeah.
Honestly, there is actually one more thing. Which I'm just having a quick look at my notes. Did you notice at the very beginning, and I don't know what film came out first, hold on. There is a David Fincher Panic Room shot.
Oh, lovely.
Going through the house. So Panic Room came out in 2002, so this came out afterwards. So at the very beginning, when they're going into Jessica's house, it's like proper Panic Room, like moving through the house and the walls.
I'll go back.
The window and the door, yeah.
So after she's dropped Ricky Martin off at the bus?
I think so, yeah.
And she goes back in and she's talking to the housekeeper, and then they're rich with the housekeeper.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. I was like, wow, which film came first? This or Panic Room?
Good shout. And this is what I like about this movie actually is that's like 3 minutes in. It's like 90 seconds of like dropping a kid off, 60 seconds of talking to a housekeeper, and it's like bang, let's go. The movie's on. Absolutely.
Yeah, it doesn't mess about. Yeah.
No.
What a film. I won't be watching it again.
So with that note, for you within the Stath filmography, remember, is this a classic, worth catching, or a completist only movie?
Completist only.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. What's the middle?
Worth catching. I love that noise, by the way, as you were thinking about it.
Oh no, a completist.
Yeah.
For the Stath, the completist.
Yeah. If this was a Chris Evans filmography, this would be worth catching.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If it was watched crappy films from the 2000s, early 2000s, yeah. But it's nothing for him. Like, he could be somebody else in this role. I'm pleased he's not. Yeah. But it could be anybody. Yeah. And he brings something better than the other renter thugs in it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's not essential Stath viewing.
No. Okay. No, that's totally fair shout. In terms of my tick list, he obviously gets killed in this movie, sadly, by William H. Macy from his diving.
Or by technology.
By both, you're quite right. But he doesn't get a snog. He doesn't get a shag. And we don't get to see his fit body. We just get Chris Evans's fit body. Instead, as you said, he's covered in coats and black and...
So weird.
We could have had like a topless fight between the two, and that would have been...
Yeah, hello.
That's what we needed. Chris Evans coming out to sea, and then Stath going like, "Well, I'm not having that. Look at my body too." And they could have like a oiled up macho wrestling fight in the...
Where would they get the oil from? Oh, like
they're in the boathouse
from Boathouse, exactly. Yeah, nice. Yeah, some like black like boat oil for the engines.
So a bit like the transport. Maybe he didn't want to do that. It's too much like the transport.
Yeah, he's already done it. That's true. That is true. I'm going to go away now and just think about that.
Fair enough.
Enjoy your day.
Just before you go off to have a lovely little daydream, what have you got coming up that people can listen to? This is due out around the end of August, I think.
Okay, so what have I got coming up? Oh my God, this is where I actually have to think about what I'm doing. So very soon I am recording a new Femme on Film episode with Mike and Megan, which will be about Sofia Coppola's Marie Antoinette, which is going to be excellent. I'm really looking forward to that.
Never seen that.
Have you not?
No. So I will watch it.
Wow.
Thanks for the excuse.
Yeah, lovely. So we'll be talking about that, which is very exciting. Hopefully coming up, although probably not anytime soon, maybe around this sort of time as well, for Femme on Film. The lovely Ada, who I recorded with Tony with for Saga, and she came on Ms. Marvel's Musings. We are going to start talking about Dickinson, so Apple TV show Dickinson about Emily Dickinson, which is really exciting. Obviously, Pop Gorillas, go back and listen to our summer blockbuster season, which
has some highs and lows, eh?
I had a lot of highs, which was fantastic. And I don't know what else I've got coming up. I don't know. Just come check me out at Femme on Film Pod at Ria Carrogan. Done.
Lovely. Thanks again for coming on. It's been a lot of fun talking about Cellular. Mobile phone, as I'm going to call it from now on. And thank you everyone else for listening and partaking in this journey with me through the Stath's filmography. That was Cellular. And next up in a fortnight is Transporter 2, which is going to be followed by London, for anyone that is watching along. I'm Jack's Musings, and that's JACS, and you can find me on Twitter, where I'm most active. You can also contact the show directly on Twitter under the name Back to the Film Og. Make sure you use the hashtag #FollowTheFilmography. This show has been presented to you by the Pop Gorillas, a collection of hive minds who provide spoiler-free reviews of anything from pop culture in less time than it takes to listen to a song. I'm also a proud member of the Comics in Motion family, a super place full of the world's greatest people, dedicated to bringing you podcasts on a variety of geeky topics. So please make sure you take the time to search, subscribe, and rate our shows whenever and wherever you listen. Until next time, be excellent to each other and make sure you take the time to treat yourself too. I am Jack signing off. Yippee-ki-yay, movie lovers. Cut.